Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? You guys have your coffee ready? Do you guys also have your questions ready? Because we are live, and I would love to see where you're from. And tell me a little bit about your dog and about yourself, because I am freezing here, literally. Good morning. Like, really cold here. How you guys doing? What's up? You know what? It's so cold. My coffee was cold, and I really don't like to drink cold coffee. So, here is Oregon, Eugene. I'm Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and you are where? And if you want, while you're watching it, you want to give StreamYard permission to share your name so I know where you guys, who is posting here. So, what are we talking about today? Today, we're going to talk about what you're struggling with. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what I have experienced this week and what I would like to share with you. Um, because, things happen and everybody learns from it. And why not sharing what I learned from it? So you learn from my mistakes or from my experiences, so you don't have to go through the same process I had to go to learn it. Anyway, so I was looking to talk about a little bit about emotional neglect in dogs. And I know it's gonna backfire on me, but you know what? Tough shit. Sometimes we have to talk about stuff that is unpleasant. And myself coming from a difficult childhood, and my parents weren't really aware of it. Cannot even blame from it. Um, it was very clear when I got an adult that things happened to me with me not being able to change it. And it was very easy to feel that everybody else's fault. But my experience going through a childhood, through several stepmoms and guardians and boarding homes, I recognized that all this, the way it happened around me, um, was not very helpful the way I perceived my emotions and how I could handle my emotions over the period of time. And I grew up in Central European and South European countries, as well as um, Middle East. And so, there are lots of different cultures. Where I'm going with this, I just wanted to give you kind of like an overview, which angle I'm coming from, um, and why I want to discuss neglect in dogs. Because even though people think that dogs are just animals, we know scientifically research proven that dogs are emotional beings. They're mammals, just like we are. We have just some things most animals don't have. We call it intelligence. Yeah, I've seen that. Not really. And it affects us and it affects them. And so if we just ignore their emotional state and just say, yeah, don't dogs have emotions? I totally disagree with you because I feel dogs have a lot of emotions and more emotion that we will get credit for. We know from a people's perspective, like humans, and I don't take me wrong, I'm not humanizing dogs. I give them their mammalian version of it. Like we have to see that dogs perceive fear, they perceive anger. We call it aggression, kind of. They have sadness. They have disgust. They have excitement, surprise, shame, contempt, satisfaction, guilt, boredom, pride, anticipation, gratitude, what else? Loneliness, frustration, jealousy, disappointment, rage. We have even a rage syndrome. So we see all these are emotions. We cannot just look away from them. And I know some of you, and you may agree or disagree. I would love to hear your opinion. How do you feel about? Do you feel dogs can express those emotions? Can we recognize those emotions? Or are we humanizing them? Or is there a valid situation back here? I mean, I can show you scientific evidence um, where scientists really try to frame the idea of what is the range of the dog's emotions. But we have to see how biased those scientists are. And they're coming from a very small, free environment to actually discuss these things. Because let's be fair here. Imagine somebody says that all those emotions that I just listened to you are valid. That will turn around the whole dog industry. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And who wants to deal with that? Imagine that we come to the conclusion that instead of feed our dogs, which is basically designed for animals who go to slaughter, so we see dogs and other animals as just animals, that just food source, right, into a sentient being that has emotions. And I have to be very careful how I handle those, in brackets, even if I want to eat them at some point, right? But I want to focus on particular on dogs and look at that aspect, because we are in control of our dogs, and the industry doesn't have access to them other than through us. And if we're not aware of how they have access to us and how we can control their environment, we're basically going into a deal with them. And I thought I should make you aware of that. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm not saying I'm blaming you or, pointing fingers on people. I just want to discuss how we cause our dogs trauma without actually knowing it, just by doing what everybody does. Like my parents did what everybody did back then. They did whatever thought they were right. Well, how I felt about it, it's a different story. But you know what? You have to deal with this shit, right? That's what people say. I really tried hard to deal with this shit. But it took me many, many years to get to that point. So we too have a conversation here. We with my cold tea, a coffee that I actually don't have anymore, and you sitting here in your nice cozy place, next to you, your dog panting and slobbering on you or pawing you to get his attention. So my first 18 years were rough, and I would take that portion of it and project it onto the dog's life, the first period of their, puppyhood. Let's call it from 0 to 18 months of age. Okay? Because this is where everything happens. Everything happens in there. Now, how does the puppy's emotional neglect look like? Let's say an example. An attachment figure who is unable to help the puppy navigate and process stressful emotions, because obviously they cannot navigate on their own. They had no clue what's going on. What do you think would be a good example for that? Again, an attachment figure that is unable to help the puppy navigate and process stressful emotions. Can you give me an example? And I know we have a little bit of a delay, so please forgive me if I start too early. I have to literally watch the time. Okay, how long does a minute last? Because we have that delay on the broadcast. And I'll give you an example. But I would really like you to kind of give me a little bit of an insight. What do you think would be that an attachment figure who is unable to help a puppy navigate and process stressful emotion? Can you give me an example? Meanwhile, while you're typing, I'm going to give you my version of an example. A puppy enters a new home and experiences and has to adjust and understand a complex human's behavior in an unfriendly, dog unfriendly home environment. Everything is unsafe. New rules, restrictions. He cannot pee wherever he wants. He cannot eat whatever he finds. But it's not the reality that dogs are bred to do. Dogs pee wherever they want. They don't need a toilet. They just squat down and they pee. We are not happy about that. It's hard for many people actually to navigate the puppy through the process of potty training. Most of us don't even have a clue how potty training is being set. And then we have kids, and the kids want to play with the puppy. Oh, we have a puppy. Oh, I need to lift the puppy. I need to drop the puppy. I need to lift the puppy. I need to wrap the puppy. I need to chew the puppy. I need to pull the tail of the puppy. I need to do all these things with the puppy. And the puppy has to cope with those situations. And we want the puppy to not even dare growling or complaining about it, because these are kids. They don't know better. Is this what we have to do as an attachment figure towards a puppy who just being moved away from his parents, coming into your home, where everything in that particular age has to be safe for the puppy? There's no way in a dog environment at that age that he's being exposed to any threat that parents will not be taken care of. So I call it out. We have a puppy unfriendly environment, and we most of the times don't know how to handle it. I know people who adopted a dog who, after they adopted a dog, tried to find out how to parent a puppy. It's kind of late. It's kind of like giving birth to a child and have no clue what a parent means. What does it include? Oh, I have to feed my puppy? Oh, I have to go to the doctor? Oh, right. School? Oh, man, I have to pay for school? Jesus, I don't have money. So people get in unprepared. And I see many people getting unprepared, getting a puppy. And without them really being aware of it, because they didn't think of that. There's no parenting education set. I'm doing classes, and individual classes and workshop and those kind of videos that we do today. But in fact, there is no parenting education, at least not in US. In Europe, we have it a little bit, like animal education. What the do's and don'ts. That's number one. Number two, to think of. An attachment figure who shuts down or punishes a dog for feeling certain emotions. And I talked to you about these emotions we're talking about. Okay? So how do you feel about that? Where do we fail and when do we punish a dog for feeling certain emotions? What if a person comes into your house and your dog growls at that person? Most people will call it, oh, my dog is stranger aggressive. What a jerk. Like, they're my friends, my partner, my wife, my stepkids, my grandkids, my uncle. Like, does it make any sense? They are family. Why would he growl at them? Right? And we punish those emotions. We yell at the dog, we punish the dog, we throw him in the crate, we throw him outside. We displace the dog because of him showing emotions that we don't want to deal with, or we have no clue these are actually emotional responses, and we frame them as aggression. Like, you know what, the stupid rescues, they're all aggressive. Oh, the pit bulls, they're all aggressive. The cane corsos, oh, don't get one. Okay, English mastiffs, oh, they're stubborn. And we have all these frames around those dogs and excuse their emotional behavior as breed traits. They're breed traits. You shouldn't get a dog if you don't know about it, right? That's what we always say. But in fact, all the dogs have emotions, and all the dogs at some point will show emotional expression. They cannot talk about it. They'll bark about it. They growl about it. They bite about it. They jump on it. They do all these things because they want to express them. And what do we do in response? We suppress them. We punish them. We correct them. We scare them back. We just don't buy into it, which is wrong, right? And that causes emotional neglect. If you feel emotions, like, hey, honey, I'm really frustrated about our situation and our relationship. What? It's my problem? For example. Or, hey, honey, can you please help me finally cleaning up here because it's really a mess in my job? I made the mess. I should clean up. You know what? I'm busy all day. It's my problem. Okay. So we see all those things. In real life, we humans, we have this understanding and we can cope with it. And we expect a feedback. We expect appreciation. We expect understanding. We expect empathy. But with dogs, we don't give a bark. They don't have emotions. It's very convenient to push it on the side. But we shouldn't. Because it's emotional neglect. And I know some of you guys will like, yeah, okay, dogs have emotions, and you're not talking about humanizing dogs, right? You're such a jerk. Yes, I exactly what I just said. We need to understand that mammals have emotions. However, they're not influenced by egos like we do. So they do have emotions. Of course, we cannot humanize them because they don't have an ego, but they do have emotions, and we have to look at them without being confined in an ideology of dogs are just animals. Now, the other thing that do you guys agree with me, or I'm just talking for myself here? You know, you have this keyboard, you know, you text all day long, a little bit here, a little bit there. How about you share your opinion? It's my opinion. What's your opinion? I don't want that to be a monologue here. I'm happy to discuss and talk about stuff. And of course, you can share it if you think that's what we talk about is actually interesting. A puppy comes to a parent figure with a painful or confusing experience. The parent figure unconsciously downplays and denies the puppy reality. It does not sound familiar, right? Yeah, why would it doesn't make any sense what I'm just said. Think about it. My dog sees somebody in the yard, he goes nuts. He's a guardian dog. He's a guardian breed. King Corso, English Mastiff, a Bull Mastiff, a Presa Canario, a Maremma, a sheepdog, a Great Pyrenees, whatever. It's a dog who guards his property. It's okay, honey. Come here. Come here. It's okay. Here, get the cookie. Are you freaking kidding me? Why would you just play down the situation? We have a freaking intruder in our property trying to take over our house, assault our family. Don't you see it? No, we don't. Because it's the neighbor. He drives by every day. Why would that be a problem? Because the dog doesn't make sense of it. Dogs don't have a logic to recognize that this is the neighbor. For the dog, that's an intruder. He comes every day and nobody does anything about it. Why? Because he's not family. And guardian breeds do have a concept of family and a concept of strangers and a concept of threat. What does a dog perceive as a threat? Why is it just okay and no and drop it and leave it and kennel up and sit and do all these things the dog is not bred to do? Because his job is to deal with it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Why do we ignore it? We should appreciate the dog to do what he has to do. And if we don't like the job that he does, and we consciously took a dog in who is a guardian breed and not seeing that what he just does is his job description, this is what he's bred for, then we have to reconsider the way we choose dogs. You cannot have a guardian breed, expect him because of his genetics to be the dog you want him to be, and at the same time not investing any time and any education in your dog to describe his job description. And when he's triggered and he's confused and he feels pain, about emotional pain, I'm not saying physical pain, about the situation, you have to do something about it. You have to go into understanding what he's struggling with and walking through the process, building up the job description from scratch, bringing it down in individual pieces like you would teach a 5-year-old, remember, 5-year-old emotions, how to tie his shoe leashes, why he should go to school, why he should do the homework, why he should help you in the kitchen, and why he should help you clean the car, and why he should go in you in the supermarket and just selecting things because tomorrow he will be a consumer and he should not be thrown off the counter and being robbed out of his money, and being able to do simple things like putting a nail in the wall. This you do as a parent to your child. Why don't you do this to your freaking dog? And this is where the neglect kicks in. If we are not seeing what the dog is struggling with and downplaying his emotions, and not only that, we actually correct and punish them. Well, how does it look like in the neighborhood if your dog is barking all over the place? They call the police on you. That doesn't justify it. Lauren, how do you get them to understand what isn't a threat? That's a great question. That's a $1 million question. Okay, let me give you my bank account. How do we teach the dog to recognize that's not a threat? You don't teach the dog it's not a threat if the threat is there. You teach the dog what to do if he is worried about something to start with. If you guys are in my Facebook group, Holistic Dog Training and Parenting, you're going to go into the units and see how this is set up. Why the dog, before he makes a decision whether or not it's a threat or he's worried in any way, the first thing you want him to do is to check in with you and like, hey, I'm going to lose my poop right now because there's something going in the yard that I am triggered by. What do you think? Oh, it's okay. So I should go back in my bed and it's fine? Okay. To get to that point, your dog, in order to turn his head away from the problem, looking at you for information, you have to have established a secure attachment relationship. This is what we're talking about here, because neglect comes also not having a relationship with your dog. So your dog is kind of bouncing and falling through the cracks because he doesn't bond with anyone, because nobody wants a dog who is a jerk and nobody does anything about it. So how do you get your dog to understand what isn't a threat? You have to establish first a relationship so the dog comes and asks you that question. Hey, is it a threat? Because while he's dealing with it, coming in and yelling at him and try to correct him with a leash, a prong collar, shock collar, whatever people use, right? Which I disagree with. But anyway, they will do it anyway. If you don't come with that aspect, why would the dog listen to you? What are you worth to him right now that he has the problem? 0. Because you don't have established a relationship. So, does it answer your question? I know, it's not an answer, but it is an answer. It's not the answer to your question, but it's an answer to your dog's problem. If you get me, right? The other thing that we see is the pressure that we put on the dog to perform and achieve a desired service. I'm having notes here. That's why you see me looking down, because I don't want to miss one point. I did a lot of work to get this shit together. Okay? So again, a pressure to perform to achieve a desired service. This comes with our expectation and how the dog is expected to perform and please us as a pet, as a service dog, guard dog, or companion. Do we see how we emotionally pressure our dogs to be compliant to something he's not made to do, but we want them to do? because we have certain expectations. Have you ever heard of narcissistic parents? I'm not saying you are. Have you heard of it? Some of you have experienced it, right? Where I want you to become a lawyer. Why are we paying all this money if you're not graduate? You cannot be in a dump. You cannot do this. Arts? Who pays for arts? Music? Nobody gets rich with music. Those little people get rich with music. They are very rare, and you're not one of those, honey. You hear me? So, if we create an emotional pressure to the dog to be a service dog, and you shock collars, prong collars, choke collars, hard corrections, and force the dog to compliance because we want a service dog, is called what? Right? We're on the same page here, right? Or how about if I have a service dog? If I have a pet. I found a dog, super cute. Come on, give me a break. Nice fluffy hair, cozy, super snuggly. This thing grows up, gets 160 pounds. Well, he's a guardian breed, but I want him on a pet because I'm working 12 hours a day, and when I'm coming home, I need somebody to wait for me with a wagging tail, right? Is that an emotional pressure on the dog? That he cannot be what he was bred for, goes nuts, chews your furniture, destroys the crate, has separation anxiety, and all those factors. I don't want even to list them, and we're going to talk for another 5 days here. And we don't get the point that I cannot just expect a dog, a guardian breed, a working dog, whatever that breed is, to be a pet because I want to. You can want, but the dog can't. He tries, but he will fail. There's a lot of things to do and consider when you want to do that. I know pets. We have a certain mindset of pets. We have certain expectations. We go to a rescue. We adopt a pet. We bring the pet home. Everybody should know what a pet is. Can you please describe me a pet? And then compare it with his job description, what he was bred to do for hundreds or maybe thousands of years. Do you see the differential here? What the dog is capable of doing, what we actually expect the dog to do? There are two completely different worlds. Why would you not expect a cane corso to have a prey drive, to see another animal that triggers the dog and not respond to it? Why would you be upset if a guardian breed barks at something that triggers him and you have an issue with that? Didn't you think that before you got the dog? But you have pet expectations. You didn't think the whole thing through. You were thinking, well, we're going to deal with it. You didn't expect the breed trait to come up so much because you didn't know how to address it before it got to that point. Did you know that week 12 to 16, the breed genetics, predispositions are being adjusted to the environmental factors? Nobody talks about that. Why not? Why do you think that? Because most people are not aware of it. Most scientists don't even know it, and the industry kind of has an idea, but if they would tell you what to do, they would not make money out of it. But how would we show the shock collar and prong collars and choke collars if we would know that if you don't work with those issues proactively, you're going to end up them making money and your dog suffering and you struggling and feeling miserable? Because I know all of you don't want to go down that road. But you know what? You will likely not have any other choice if you miss the bus. And if that bus gets off and the dog is 16 months old and all of a sudden you want to have a party for New Year's or Thanksgiving or a birthday party for your birthday party or your kids, and your dog goes nuts and attack everyone, your house is at stake. But you didn't know because nobody talked about that. If you guys have any questions, of course, you can ask. As long as I don't see any questions, I keep talking, right? You want me to talk? Is that what you want? Get me some coffee. The other thing that I see very often is that parenting figures, like you and me and everybody else, and trainers even, label dogs' reactions as dramatic, aggressive, unpredictable, vicious, and not recognizing it's a puppy's functional behavior. It's a puppy's response. It's a puppy's fear response. It's a puppy's displacement message. Like, why don't we see that? Why do we ignore it? Why do we label a puppy? And I see this all the time. I saw a couple of posts yesterday. This is what actually triggers. So I appreciate those people who triggered me so I wouldn't have that conversation today. Because a dog didn't do well with a puppy, the other dog was called, he's a pit. All pits kill dogs. And I was like, what the actual bark? Why would I breed, or why would I don't even have the word of that term actually, to call a dog who looks like a pit that he's a pit. He is a pit. I know it. I saw it. I saw the picture. It looks like a pit, right? It's a pit. And because it's a pit, he does this and this and that. Therefore, get rid of the pit. And I was asking the question that group. I said, wait a minute. Why would you expect a dog who has never met a puppy before deal with the puppy, and you as a human who has all this data access, Google, Yahoo, books, trainers, you can hire somebody to tell you, you even don't have a clue about it, and your dog expects to deal with it. How many elder people, if you place them a 3-month-old child in their hands, they don't even clue what to do with it. They're kind of like, it moved. Yeah, it moved. So what do you do about it? I don't know. Take it. A dog is not vicious. Dogs are not aggressive. Dogs are not dramatic. And dogs definitely are not unpredictable. There is no such species out there that I know of that is so honest about his emotions and what he's going to do next. Unless, and here we are talking about it, we cause the dog trauma and he's being quiet about it because he's afraid of our response based on his reactions because we neglected it. You see where I'm coming from here? I'm not saying you're doing it, don't take me wrong, but sometimes we do it without knowing it. So I'm not blaming you for doing it, but I just want to make you aware of that maybe it's happening right in front of you and you don't see it coming. So here I am ringing the alarm clocks, okay? And point it out to you. The other thing that I see is that puppy needs were often overlooked or their boundaries being violated, causing adult dysfunctional relationship dynamics. That was, let me tell you again because it actually sounds good. Puppy's needs were often overlooked or other boundaries were violated, causing adult dysfunctional relationship dynamics. Here's where that comes in. You know, all these people who says you have to be the alpha to your dog. Okay. You have to be the pack leader. Okay. You have to be authoritarian to your dog. Okay. You have to take this food away. You have to be authoritarian. You have to use aversive protocols to your dog. You have to tell your dog who's the boss because he's going to take over your family. Whoa. Okay. So we ignore the puppy's needs and we have our needs over the puppies because we are better than them. Wow. And then I'm asking the questions, all those people who have those belief systems, do they have happy, well-balanced puppies? Or do they have puppies put in a box, in a frame so narrow they cannot even be dogs because they're afraid, they're insecure, they're shut down, they feel helpless, more or less? And I know people telling me, oh, my dog is happy. Sure. How this comes in, it's a projection because you cannot feel guilty. The dog has to be happy. I've seen people telling me my dog is happy in the yard. but is afraid getting close to the fence. He's happy in the yard, but he's afraid to go. Happy and afraid are two opposites. My dog loves to go for a walk. And I put him a prong collar. He put his head straight in there. Okay. He loves going for a walk. He loves his prong collar. Okay. So we ignore primary reinforcers and we ignore secondary punishers. Just like that. Because we want him to like it. Because we cannot get rid of it. Because we are afraid that if we take off that gearbox, the whole dog will go loose. And who's going to hold a 100-pound, 160-pound, a 200-pound dog, right? And now we see how much we violate. Why is it okay to steer your dog's football? Because somebody told you by steering with your hand in your dog's football makes the dog less reactive and less food reactive. Yeah, it does towards you. And how about the others? How many people have you seen, oh, I did that, and my dog attacks my kids every time they show up? Why? Because the dog knows already what's going to happen, that somebody will disrespect his boundaries and he will disrespect his needs and he will just grab his hands in there and take things away that he wants. An example. It was in Greenwich almost 10 years ago. A very nice big house family. They're managing a boating club. And they had a young puppy, golden retriever puppy, stinking cute, okay? And I came in, very nice people. They offered me a coffee. It was very early. And in the background, I hear noises, screaming and growling. And I turn my head and see 3 kids are on top of a puppy. The puppy was kind of like 12 weeks old. Try to get away a sock from that puppy violently. And the mom was talking to me like, oh, see, this is what's happening. The puppy growls at my kids. And I was like, don't you see what's happening here? Your dog is being violated. He found the sock on the floor that your kids dropped. And now those kids attacking your dog for taking something that he deserves. It was there unclaimed. Why wouldn't he take it? A puppy doesn't have these kind of claims. And understanding that what you don't pick up, it's yours, even if you're not there. It like, what kind of logic do you expect of a puppy to have? Like Fuji logic? Einstein logic or anything else? The puppy doesn't know. Puppy has pre-programmed a kind of a hard drive behaviors and understanding of his environment based on his emotional development. That you are responsible since you took the puppy away from their parents. Not you really. The breeder did, because the breeder gave your dog to you. The breeder bred it. I'm not saying breeders are bad people, okay? Everybody has the belief system behind breeders. I appreciate well-educated, dedicated breeders who are in alignment with the breed traits and the breed needs and the puppy needs, and they're really, really doing a great job, even if I disagree with the whole breeding aspect of it. But if we would let dogs loose, breeding themselves all over the place, I don't think we'll be overwhelmed with dogs. There's a natural selection of stuff, and we would have dogs like we had in the past. Breed a dog, keep your own dog, okay, and the family creates itself, and that is kind of contained. It doesn't become a business. The business aspect of it is what I don't like. Anyway, but most breeders that I know, that I appreciate, not doing that for business, but they do that to preserve the breed in a concept of breed traits, not only looks. But anyway, going down that route, this was the first time I actually recognized how abusive we are to animals, to our own dogs, without actually knowing it. And then all these training systems kick in, and all these videos and YouTube videos, and now we have this TikTok. And I'm telling you, I see so much violence on animals in those TikToks, training skills, with thousands of viewers and likes. And I was like, don't you see it? It's emotional abuse happening in front of us. And if you report it, oh, it doesn't violate our policies. What freaking policies are those that I can take a dog, scare the poop out of it, make the dog being scared to death, exposing him, even if it's a toy doll, to a figure that his genetics are pre-programmed to be a predator ready to kill, and have the dog suffer in the view of a disaster to happening. Oh my God, I get goosebumps thinking of it. I almost threw up. Why would that be okay? Would it be okay if I have my child exposed to a monster, even if that is fake, and have fun with it and see how many likes do I collect of my child suffering because nobody's there to help it? Suffering through fear of seeing something his genetics tells him you're going to get killed now. Don't we see that? And how about those people who think it's totally okay to send your dog to a boot camp? Whoa, what is the meaning of boot camp? Sorry for that, but I'm going to show you my boot. My boot. Actually, I didn't step on poop yet, but that's my boot. So if I tell you I have a boot camp, what exactly comes up to your mind? Okay? Where does this term come from? What is behind that term? Does it resonate to you? So if I send my dog to boot camp, what do I expect my dog to learn? To wear boots? Be a soldier? Have to deal with enemies? He has to do something he doesn't like and is being booted to do it? Like, don't you see that? And why would your dog learn in a boot camp something he cannot learn from his own family? What is the problem? The family. You don't have time? I understand. Then have your trainer work longer with you at your house, at your time. Don't have time for a dog? Maybe it's not a good time for a dog. It's totally okay. I want more dogs. I lived 5 years without a dog, and I had a cat. I love cats, but I didn't have a dog. So, the other part is, what do we expect the dog to learn somewhere else that he doesn't learn in our house? Why would a trainer teach him something that his parent cannot do? I understand the concept of sending the kids to school to learn things we don't know. I don't know algebra. I know, but I don't. If you ask me to explain it to you, I have no clue how to explain it to you. Well, you know what? That's what the school is for. Political science. Okay. Physics, chemistry. Well, I'm not an alchemist. I don't know everything. I would be a teacher. See? Things that you don't know, a trainer supposed to know. But why would you send your dog to learn what at the boot camp? Science? No. Chemistry? Nope. Political science? Nope. What? Basic skills everybody should know. Obedience. Sit down, stay calm. These are common things everybody should know. Like, how would you teach your child to come when you leave for school? You don't send your child to school to learn how to get ready to school. He learns from you. You teach him it. You break it down simple pieces, break it down in digestible pieces, and work your way up. People's boot camp should be created. I have those. I call them parenting classes. I call them secure attachment bundles or behavior healing bundles, where I teach people to do what trainers do in boot camps. No, not really, but what they're supposed to do, but they don't. Giving you tools and skills for you to go through the process and teach your puppy something that you should teach him, because your puppy is supposed to trust you. How do you build up that trust relationship from the very beginning without causing your dog any trauma? And that's the point. If you send it somewhere else, you don't know what's happening there. You don't know what's going to happen there. You cannot guarantee it. They don't tell you, and they're not obligated to tell you, because there is no government frame to tell them what is okay and what not okay to do, unless it's done. So even if that person traumatizes your dog, you can do nothing about it. You can't even complain about it because there is no scientific frame to consider his actions emotionally abusive to your dog. There is no frame around it. So you can call it abusive. Well, he had free will to choose whatever tool he wanted to make your dog comply. You sign that paper, you give him that right to choose whatever tool is necessary to get the job done, and he wants his money, and you have to pay for it, plus the expenses to fix the damage. But that's your job. You should do it at the beginning, and you should know how to do it. Right? Okay. End of rant. The general message here. What is the goal? The goal is, from the very beginning, build up secure attachment relationship with your puppy, understand the puppy needs, recognizing his breed traits, understanding what can you expect from your puppy to do when he's an adult, what you think you have to do to get him to do things in the future. So you have to be proactive rather than reactive. You cannot just see how it goes and then figure it out when it happened, because it's too late. The damage is done. The puppy has being already conditioned to do certain things you don't want him to do, and the trajectory is 100% going in the direction that somebody will get hurt because of the wrong choices you made, because you didn't know better and nobody told you about, and you didn't know where to go to learn it. Well, now you know. And I hope I was able to give you some information to make informed decisions and avoid your puppy's trauma. Thank you for watching. I know I was intense today, but it's my passion to change things. So I don't want the dogs to go through what I have been through, kind of thing. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe, get dressed, walk your dog, feed your dog, water your dog. I have to do the same thing. Have a great rest of your week.